Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seriously Loco, the Seriously Crazy fan quarantine podcast for El Paso Locomotive FC. I'm your host, Phil Bakke, and today I'm joined virtually via conference call here by Mikka Burrell. Mikka, welcome.
Hey, it's weird to not be in Bakke Studios, but I've made sure that all my telenovelas are turned off. There's no one getting killed outside. None of that ambient noise.
Oh man.
Shade.
Shout out, Daniel. Shout out.
Yeah, Daniel, how's it going? And then and we're joined also by Christian Canales. Christian, welcome back.
What's up, guys? Don't forget to continue social distancing so we can be back together and recording this sooner rather than later.
Yep. Stay home, everybody. I think it's becoming easier, but guys, I mean, Mikka, we'll start with you. How are you coping with being working from home and all this stuff? How's it going over there in on the west side?
Yeah, so I've been working from home since the 13th now. Friday the 13th, of course, that's when it all started. You know what, the first week was harsh because I didn't have like my dual monitors, and it's just so hard to do any work now on like a single screen. I'm really spoiled at my office. But then I just went ahead and like bought some and kind of recreated my office here. So working from home is much easier now. But I mean, it is strange. You don't get that camaraderie with like your coworkers or seeing clients in person. Sometimes, you know, we have Zoom calls all day. It's just different. But you know, other than that, personally, I think I'm coping okay. I mean, got a lot of books to get through, video games to play, all that kind of stuff. So it's unfortunate, but I feel like this is giving everyone kind of hopefully a lot of time to like reflect and maybe do things that they normally wouldn't have time for at home and stuff. So
yeah, it is such a strange time in terms of not being able to kind of interact like you normally do with your coworkers, but obviously we're working all towards, as Christian was saying, we're working all towards making sure that this isn't necessary you know, in the near future, hopefully, and after a couple months of being responsible and all this stuff, we'll be able to get back to some form of normalcy. And Christian out there, I know it's a little bit of a strange time because you work in a school, but schools are obviously closed, and El Paso making the announcement now that they're going to be closed for longer than what they had originally claimed. So, I mean, how's it going? How's that?
It's
everything, I guess.
Yeah, it's been really weird for me because I work in the school. I'm not a teacher. I'm more like a teacher's assistant. And so, you know, teachers are working, they're holding classes and stuff as much as they can virtually, but everything that I do is very physical. You know, I'm usually putting stuff together, kind of an errand boy for teachers and doing like small groups and stuff. But that's not stuff that we're doing right now. So I have not actually worked in 3 weeks. Thank God, you know, I'm still on the payroll because I'm like on call. If they needed me at any point, they could call me. So I'm still getting paid for all that. But I think it's really weird for me. I think there's a small population like me that is lucky enough to still have a job, in air quotes, but hasn't really worked all this time. So it's been very strange, really not having anything to do. I've just been getting probably more yard work done in the last 3 weeks at my, I guess, new house. So I've been in here for 9 months, but done more in the last 3 weeks than I did since I've in all the time before that. So it's been relaxing, I guess.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird time because, Mikka, like you said, it's a time where we get to do stuff that we normally wouldn't necessarily have time to do or wouldn't be able to do. So I hope that most people are able to take advantage of it, like you said, and we'll talk about some of our recommendations for social distancing and isolation life. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like in this weird transitionary period between the army and normal life during the least normal period of recent human history. So I'm trying to deal with that. It's a little weird. Companies obviously are a little less eager to hire in the current economy, but there's certain stuff that is pandemic proof, I guess. Certain industries. So yeah, it's just trying to manage that, and obviously a lot of business has already kind of moved to being digital and doing more things virtually. So I think it's just kind of a forcing function now of, yeah, they have to do it for everything, but it's not that big of a stretch for a lot of these places that are, spread over the country and everything to be doing stuff virtually. I think it's pretty commonplace. So it's just weird that there's no physical place for me to go day in and day out aside from my office / Baki Studios to do work. Like this is where work is now. So but anyways, we just got an announcement today. I don't think anyone's shocked because USL announced that the training moratorium that they had announced previously is going to extend into May. I mean, no big shock there. Like, it's pretty much what we would have expected based on the CDC guidelines that we already had.
Yeah, I don't imagine that, anything else is going to be going on past April. So there's no sense in getting, the athletes together to try and practice. I am more and more convinced that it's going to be a wash, the season. I don't think that we're going to play. It really sucks to say, but probably until next March, because I don't think that a shortened season is something that I would want.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Mikka.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna agree with Christian. It seems like it would be a logistical nightmare to try and play a shortened season. I mean, it's not like it hasn't been done before in professional leagues. I mean, I think back to all the lockouts that the NHL like to have from time to time, and then playing, lockout shortened season. But I mean, obviously those are different circumstances. I mean, and then the longer this goes on, it almost replicates another off season where it's like, well, then do these players need another preseason because they might be not at full fitness and more prone to injury and all that kind of thing. And then the contract situation, how does that work? I don't know exactly how it works in USL, whether it's by a certain date you're a free agent or what have you. But I think in a lot of the like European leagues and things like that, it does work like that. It's not season by season. It's from this date to this date. And so I don't know. There's just so much that people much smarter than I are going to have to figure out about it and what to do. But first and foremost is making sure that we, get through this and flatten the curve. Stay home, guys. I mean, it's not a joke.
Yeah, it is. This season, I think. Do you guys think that there's maybe a possibility that USL tries to play not even necessarily a shortened season, but a like winter season, I guess, like start in the summer and play a full season kind of off schedule? Do you think there's any possibility that the USL tries to pull something like that off?
I think that sounds like just like a pain in the ass having to make that schedule, for people who do share stadiums like us and other teams that might have other, obviously the baseball, it's not getting used for baseball, but for other events or whatever. And, honestly, for a lot of teams on the East Coast, who the hell wants to go to a soccer game in New York in December? I just don't think that they're soccer fans are maybe not accustomed to that. I know the Bears play and stuff in the snow and all that, but I just don't think that soccer is meant to be played on a that's 4 inches deep in snow.
Yeah,
Unless you're the U.S. Men's national team trying to qualify for a World Cup and dragging Costa Rica to Denver in the middle of the winter.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. But go ahead,
Yeah,
Mikka. You were saying.
I mean, I think that, I mean, a lot of people ask why the North American schedule is the way it is, where we play in the summer, and I think that's exactly why, is because most people don't want to sit in a stadium in Toronto, or New York, or whatever, Chicago, during those times and watch soccer. And USL is one of the professional leagues in the world that do rely a lot on gate receipts and match day revenue. So I think it would almost be, I'm sure the expense would probably outweigh the profit of playing a winter season. But I mean, stranger things have happened. I would be grateful. I'd be there every match, because we have miles of winters in El Paso. But I mean, yeah, I don't know how that would work.
I mean, is the trade of winter weather potentially like, if El Pasoans can show up in the middle of August, then should Switchbacks fans brave the winter storms to go see their local squad?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's only fair. We sit through our summers. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That would be interesting. I like I said, if somehow we're able to play soccer again this year, that'd be awesome. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, maybe what they'll end up doing is whenever we come back, whenever everything's back to normal, just play the schedule from that point and not have a postseason. I mean, I think that's an option too.
And just crown maybe a final between the conference champions or something, like not playoffs, but the top two teams.
Maybe not even that, because you might not get everyone. It's hard to say who is the better team because you're not playing like the 2-leg schedule.
Right.
Depending on when we go back, you don't get. So I mean, I don't know if it's just a matter of them trying to put a product on the field and just generate some revenue. Then yeah, I think they just play the schedule and forget the postseason for now for this one.
USL's version of the BCS coming this winter. Polls to decide.
A closed door committee
Phoenix
to
and
determine the top 4 teams.
Phoenix and New Mexico shoot to the top of the standings.
Oh Jesus!
So I think it's safe to be concerned about whether the USL season is going to happen at this point, and I think most of us are kind of erring on the side of it's not going to happen. So if something does materialize, then okay, cool. Like, we get soccer. I am worried, since just the one game got played. Like, we're not in the same situation as the rest of, world football, where they played 3/4 of the season and it's like, okay, what do we do next? Like, are we going to say it's null and void? Whatever. It's easy to say, all right, that one game, just the Orange County 0-0 draw, just it's as if it never happened, and we start from scratch. Like,
I want that result to stay, because then we're invincible in our second season. So
still undefeated. Year 2, still undefeated.
Exactly.
Undefeated. Get shirts made up. El Paso Locomotive undefeated or invincible 2020.
And then just one match results across the back.
Yeah. That would be hysterical.
Goals conceded. Wait, what was the score of the goal? That game feels like so. Okay, so no goals conceded.
No goals conceded. Logan Ketter, Keeper of the Year, Gold Glove Award.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. That match feels like lifetimes ago.
I know.
My
Yeah.
God.
Okay. If this happens, we totally need to do this shirt for Seriously Loco, where El Paso Locomotive FC Invincibles 2020. Least goals conceded, most clean sheets, like whatever random stats we can come up with, just like down the back accolades. Anyways, that's really
All of
funny.
which are going to be technically true.
Yep.
You heard it here, folks. Get your pre-orders in now.
Yeah. So I mean, being concerned about the USL season, obviously all of us are looking for content. We're looking for stuff to do. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't truly understand how big a part of my life sports were until they weren't happening. Like, so much of my time is dedicated to sports that now I'm like, oh my God, like, what do I do? So we Mika, you came up with a little outline here, and I think we'll stick with following that for the time being. But some recommendations of soccer related and non-soccer related content for everybody to kind of take in and focus on here in this new off season that we have. So Mika, I'll let you kick this one off, and we can just see where our recommendations take us.
All right, cool. I mean, like I said a little bit earlier, I've been doing a lot of reading. I'm one of those people that buys a bunch of books and then they sit there and I'm like, oh, I really should get there. I really should read those books. So for those of you who do like to read, or maybe if you don't, maybe it's time to pick up a new hobby now that you're probably in the house a lot. Um, there are a couple of football related books that I've been reading or I have read this year that I can recommend. The one I'm reading right now is really good. It's called The Frying Pan of Spain, and it's by Colin Miller, and it is a book basically like chronicling the history of the rivalry between Sevilla and Real Betis. Obviously,
Oh, wow.
people when they think Spanish football, they think Barcelona and Real Madrid, but really, a lot of fans think that the best rivalry in Spain is Sevilla Real Betis, which they're both teams in Andalusia, which is the southern province of Spain. Um, they call it the frying pan because it's extremely hot in Andalusia. So to me, it sounds like that's like the Texas of Spain. They have their own distinct culture and way of talking, and they're very passionate about their teams, just like we are here. So I think people listening to this podcast would probably relate a lot to a lot of things that are talked about in the book, and it's just a really well written book. It's an easy read. Another one that's even easier of a read, I think, is called State of Play by Michael Calvin. And this book is a bunch of short stories almost kind of put into a book. It's more of like a human interest book, but with football as the focus. So, I mean, Michael Calvin himself, the author, calls it, what marks the pinnacle of a career investigating the human stories of soccer. So if you want to read less about the X's and O's and the tactics and more about just people involved in the game, it's a really good book. So those are my two that I recommend, football related books for those of you who are missing the beautiful game. So
I think I'm gonna have to read Into the Frying Pan, because that, like, the different provinces or states of Spain always fascinate me in how fiercely independent they are, because it's very kind of a unique vibe to a lot of countries, modern countries.
Right.
So I'd be fascinated to read about because I don't know a whole ton about well, especially Betis. Like, I really only know their recent history as they've kind of resurged back up the La Liga table, but Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I'd be really fascinated to read about that.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. Like I said, it just in reading the book, it just reminds me a lot of like El Paso and like our culture and Texas in general, because the people are so like fiercely proud of being from Andalusia. And some of the more like intense footballers in world football are from Andalusia. You know, for example, Sergio Ramos. Um, he's like the Andalusian poster boy. um, so yeah, I really recommend it. It's a great read.
Christian, you got any literature on your list?
Unfortunately, no. I'm pretty uncultured in that regard. I don't do a whole lot of reading. um, um, I actually finished a book right before all this happened, and I had started after the latest Star Wars movie came out. I decided I was going to take a dive into those. So that's what I've been reading for the last couple of months. The latest one I read was it's like a prequel to the prequels. It's like the origin story of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn, and it gives a little backstory to their characters. But honestly, that's the last book I've read.
Oh no, I mean we all need fiction and stuff in our lives as well. It's not all soccer all the time. The books I'm going to recommend are soccer, but no, the first one, I mean, I'm biased, but Raphael Honigstein's biography of Jurgen Klopp called Bring the Noise is a fascinating read because it's I mean, obviously I'm biased now, but most of the book is not about his time at Liverpool. He continues to update it as stuff happens. So there's new editions of the book being released all the time, but it primarily focuses on his time like before, when he was a player, coming up through like the German lower divisions. Like he spent a lot of time like below their kind of league system. You know, he was in the regional leagues and he was just playing for like village clubs and stuff like that, and how he kind of worked his way up. And it's a fascinating thing because he really has no business being one of the top managers, because he's this kind of normal German guy from the Black Forest, and like there's no reason that he reached the pinnacles he did. He started as a player manager at Mainz. Like he was playing right back and managing. So he's it's just a fascinating story. So even if you're not a Liverpool fan, it primarily focuses on his time in Germany, and then it kind of, it talks about his move to Liverpool, but it's mostly about his time at Mainz and Dortmund. So that one was really intriguing to me, and you kind of get inside his head a little bit as well, because there's a lot of different incidents as he was moving up with Mainz. He got relegated with Mainz as well, so he's been through a lot. So the experience is very interesting to me. And then, I mean, one of the things that a book that I really loved was just picking up a like kind of comprehensive history about Liverpool. So if there's a club out there that you support abroad, or you're thinking about supporting, that has like a long history, I just encourage you to kind of pick up an actual book rather than, because the internet has a lot of stuff, but it's not that um comprehensive. And reading a legit like history of Liverpool, I just got like that much more of an idea of the culture around the club and all that. So I'm not saying you have to read that one. The Liverpool one is called Red Men, and it's just a history of the club from start to finish. But if there's a club that's out there that you're interested in, that has history, then I just encourage you to pick up a history of that club and learn as much as you can about it, because it is, some of these clubs throughout world football, they've been around so long, they have fascinating stories in their in their inception and in how they've gotten to where they are today. It's not just, oh, we plopped down a super club in X city or anything like that. There's a reason that they got there, and there's a whole journey. So that's something soccer related that I'd recommend with this newfound time to do so.
So what you're saying is that there are no books like that about MLS clubs.
Unfortunately, I'm sure there are some good biographies out there of like personalities around MLS.
No,
but
actually, I'm being facetious. I'm sure there are some
No,
clubs with history, obviously, but
so be on the lookout for El Paso Locomotives, centennial centennial like commemorative edition 2120 or 2119. So obviously most people have been, I think, kind of using streaming sites, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, like all of the above, to kind of get through their time. So what's everyone been enjoying on the streaming websites?
I'm just gonna come out and say it. If you haven't seen Tiger King, you need to stay in more. You're doing too much outside. If you haven't watched Tiger King yet.
I don't want to like spoil anything for those who haven't seen it. But I finished it yesterday and I've never seen anything like it. I can say that with full confidence. You have never seen anything like this.
I think my wife put it best, and she recommended it to someone, and someone was like, "Well, like, what's it like? Is it good? Tell me about it?" And she was like, "Well, it's not boring." And I was like, "Well, I guess that's the best way to explain it."
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it with my mom. And she was like, every episode we would go through, she'd be like, "I don't like this. All right, next episode." And so like it's one of those things where like you don't know if you're enjoying it or if it's just like a spectacle and you can't look away. That's kind of how I felt about it. Like I wouldn't tell someone I enjoyed it, but I would say watch it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for a story with likable protagonists, go elsewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, literally everyone is trash.
There's no one to root for. They're like, it's just degrees of bad. Like there's no
I just didn't know that
some of the auxiliary characters.
Yeah. Like the
are
dude
like
with like
fine.
no legs is cool.
Yeah. But
I just didn't know that there was this like subculture in the United States of like big cat collecting and like all the crime and mayhem that goes along with that. So I don't know. You just have to watch it. It's insane.
Yeah.
And you'll understand all the memes that are like currently flooding the internet if you haven't seen it yet.
I don't understand how I really don't understand how you could have not watched it yet. It's like all there is on the internet right now is Tiger King. I just have like FOMO more than anyone else, but it would drive me crazy if I didn't understand what everyone was talking about.
Yeah, the memes are next level, and I'm very appreciative for those in these dark times. To have to have the dank memes. But do you guys have any other non-soccer recs for streaming before we move on to the 2 or 3, I guess? Yeah, the 2 big ones for soccer fans.
Well, the latest season of Narcos Mexico is out. It's been out for a little bit, so people who are listening to this might have already watched it, but it's entertaining as well.
Yeah.
yet again another show with not too many likable people, but it's based on true events, and so it's interesting. But yeah, that's the other one that I've watched recently.
And if you want to see white people doing crime, you can watch the new season of Ozark. and fictional people, because you can watch Tiger King for white people doing crime.
We already talked about Tiger King
in real life. But Ozark is also white people doing crime. So, yeah, Jason Bateman. If you haven't watched it yet, I would recommend it because I haven't seen the new season, but the first 2 seasons are really good. So, I would recommend that one.
Yeah, I tend to watch a lot more lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
So we recently resubscribed to HBO. So I've been catching up on Silicon Valley. That's one that I like a lot. It's made by Mike Judge of Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill fame, but it's live action, and it's really funny, kind of deadpan kind of humor, which is something that I kind of appreciate. So that's what I would check out.
Also new on Netflix is the whole series of Community, for more lighthearted, if you're into just weird comedies. I love that show, but I'm also like into weird stuff, I guess. So it's trending. So I guess it's doing well because one of its big things was that it never really did like have good ratings on actual TV. So maybe streaming is where it was supposed to live from the beginning. But I would highly recommend a watch of that or a rewatch if you've seen it already, because it holds up. But for soccer fans, a big one just dropped, especially for people who watch English football. Sunderland Till I Die season 2 just dropped yesterday, and I mean, what a speaking of train wreck documentaries, this is like not as kind of weird as Tiger King, but it is tragic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, now that I think about it, Sunderland are the Black Cats. So
yeah.
Yikes. Season 1 is just like, if you've seen Manchester City's All or Nothing documentary, Sunderland's season 1 of Sunderland Till I Die is the complete opposite. It's just like losing constantly, and just the club is so mismanaged. So I can't even imagine what season 2 is going to be like. I mean, for those who don't know, Sunderland were in the Premier League a couple seasons ago, and now they're in the English 3rd Division. And so this show kind of just chronicles life in League One. And so I haven't watched it yet. I have season 2 in my queue. I'm hoping I can start it tonight. But yeah, it's fascinating, even though it is sad in a lot of ways, but fascinating nonetheless.
Yeah.
And I mean, were they prestigious before all this?
I mean, relatively.
They are.
They were solidly
a big club. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Northeast,
they were solidly.
I mean,
yeah, they were solidly a Premier League team. Like they were always. There was always kind of the risk of getting relegated during a bad season, but they hung around the Premier League for a long time. Yeah, them and Newcastle are the big rivals, the Tyneside derby and all that. But the crazy thing about Sunderland is that season 1 was supposed to be like the championship version, like the English 2nd Division version of Manchester City's All or Nothing, because they assumed they were going straight back to the Premier League, and the documentary was going to like chronicle their success, and instead it caught the worst season in the club's history by far. So it's it's one of those crazy things where I don't know, it's like asking your friend to show up to film your like wedding proposal and she says no and then like throws her drink in your face and like shoots you. Like that's the level like to how bad this went compared to what they thought was going to happen.
See, that's the crazy thing about filming a documentary. And I said this after Tiger King ended too, is like they started filming this like 5 years ago before a lot of stuff happened. So it's just
Right.
weird how as a filmmaker, you have this plan laid out and then all this crazy shit happens. And so how do you know when you're like before all this crazy shit happens, how do you know what you're supposed to be filming? Like what is good, what's worth, spending the time, editing and all that. And yeah, that's crazy to know that it was supposed to be a comeback season for them, and then apparently it did not happen that way.
No. Yeah, it's it's wild. I would highlight like similar to the City documentary and the Leeds United documentary that's on Amazon Prime as well. For any sports fan, I think it's fascinating to watch and get that much access behind the scenes and see how it's run and kind of the business side as well. All of that stuff is stuff that we don't really get access to on any normal basis. So like it's not even specifically like, oh, I like English soccer, I'll go watch this Sunderland documentary. I think for any soccer fan, like it's a fascinating look inside some of the decision making and some of the like club management that actually happens that is necessary, but we just don't see it most of the time because we're focused on what happens between the lines. And so when you get access, it's always so interesting to see some of these conversations that happen. Like the one clip I saw of Sunderland Till I Die season 2 was them debating changing the pregame music, like the walkout music for the team to a more upbeat, like EDM style thing. And it's just a hilarious conversation that, people who are making quite a bit of money and are like involved in high level decision making have to have like as or felt they had to have. And it's that type of thing that just it is wild to see what goes into actually running a football club or a soccer club. Yeah. So I'd highly recommend that to anyone. Literally anyone listening to this podcast will enjoy getting the behind the scenes. And if you watch season 1, then you get Lewis Graben as the ultimate villain, the striker, the Sunderland striker who terminated his loan halfway through the season and joined another championship team.
See, I always remember, I mean, that was terrible, but also I just remember hating Jack Rodwell more.
Oh, yeah.
Because he, wouldn't take a pay cut, he didn't want to move, and he wouldn't play either. So it's like, you're just a douche. And somehow he's at Sheffield United right now. I don't.
Yeah. Oh, the other one. I haven't actually seen this one, but has anyone seen Ultras?
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list. I've heard like mixed reviews. From what I understand, it's a film about like Italian ultras. So maybe not necessarily like a soccer film, but like a film that takes place in the soccer context. So it's on my list, but I'm just like starved for like soccer anything at this point. So I'll definitely watch it either way.
Well, speaking of being starved for soccer, right now USL and fans of USL have taken it upon themselves to make some virtual stand-ins for the USL season, and myself and Christian are taking part in the FIFA League that's currently going on, the EUSL Championship. It is strange because I've never been like that big into watching esports, especially like of sports video games, because I'm like, well, I can just watch sports. I don't need to watch someone play FIFA. But now we don't have sports, and FIFA is the only soccer that we have that's being played, aside from, I think, the Belarusian Premier League or whatever is still going on.
Are they still playing?
But,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. But yeah, but EUSL right now, FIFA tournament. I mean, Christian, as a participant, like how's your experience been so far, and what do you think of this this league that USL supporters put together?
It has been interesting. I mean, I have never played online sports before this. I've always just either played, with my siblings or by myself. So it's been interesting. It's interesting to know that it's really a whole other kind of like culture. Like there are people who play a lot, and so that's been. It's interesting to see how talented people can be at this. So yeah, I mean, everyone that I've met and that I've played with and communicated with, they've all been really cool and really nice. And I haven't encountered a lot of like condescension or anything like that. So that was what I was worried about. Once I saw how good these people were, were feeling insecure about not being on their level, but haven't encountered any of that so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool to get exposed to segments of the USL that normally we wouldn't, because obviously we're only playing Western Conference representatives during the league season, but in the Discord chat and all of the different coordination that's going on, like you get exposed to, like, I'm PlayStation, I'm friends on PSN now with Lou City fans, just random people from around the Western Conference. East, West, doesn't really matter. Like there's people all over who are just like, hey, like we're playing video games during the isolation, so like may as well make the most of it. And yeah, it's been fun. I guess standings wise, Locomotive not doing as hot right now. I I got the lone point so far for for Locomotive, unfortunately, but I think as the season wears on, like we'll grow into it. I know Ernie is getting quite a bit of flack from a lot of segments for his blowout loss in week one, unfortunately.
What was the score?
8-2.
8-2.
Bruh.
Yeah. He used Norwich, which decent selection for 3.5 stars. But it seems like the meta right now is Red Bull Salzburg, as like the best 3.5 star team. I'm still, yeah, and gosh, what's his name? Chang. Huan He Chang. He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's ridiculous. And it's funny because I think they fell beneath 3.5 stars because of the departure of Holland and Minamino. So they would be higher ranked and not eligible, but those transfers have actually weakened them. But in this tournament, they are probably the strongest side to select. So it's kind of lot of Red Bull Salzburg selections out there from EUSL competitors. I think as people register blowout wins with them, people are going to adopt them, and soon, like by week 3, you may just see a bunch of RBS versus RBS. Red Bull's dream, basically.
Awesome.
Just a bunch of Red Bull teams playing each other.
Yeah, they might have to look into a sponsorship if that happens, because yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's gonna happen in about 3 weeks. Who did you play with, Phil? Did you go with Brentford?
I went with Brentford. I had some good success in my preseason warm-up matches against random Liga MX fans because those are the only teams that people consistently play with on the online modes that are at that level or near that level. What I've found, and this is just it's a small sample size, but what I have found is that America fans are by far the least gracious and most likely to rage quit or grief in some way, like spamming slide tackles and all that stuff. Rayados not as bad. A couple Pumas out there, but America by far the most toxic of the players that I've played.
That tracks.
But yeah, you used FC Juarez. I know you were going back and forth about that decision. Are you going to stick with the Bravos?
Yeah, I mean, I probably will not get very many matches. I'm not going to get a lot of results, but it's a team I know. It's a team I have an idea of who their players are, and kind of who can do what. And I don't plan on spending a whole lot of time, digging through world football to find a team and play enough with them to figure out how to use them. So I might just stick with them. I only lost 2-0, so yeah. I think it was fair given the level of quality I was working with.
Yeah.
Bravos have like some of the best kits in FIFA, in my opinion. So I love the green.
Yeah, they're slick.
So Christian, your next game is actually what, Friday? Yeah, Friday at
Tomorrow
4 p.m.
At 4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're listening to this, it's probably later today, I guess. But yeah, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Mountain Time against FC Tulsa's representative, the artist formerly known as Roughnecks.
Yeah, I don't expect a good result here. He won 5-2 last week, so he can score some goals.
It'll be a tough matchup. My game is Saturday at 6:30, I believe, Mountain Time. Against a Phoenix Rising representative who mysteriously lives in Orlando. So no, he's a writer for NBC Sports, I think. And he's taken part on behalf of Phoenix, but he won his first match as well, but it was a close game. So I'm looking forward to trying to improve on my week 1 draw, 1-1. A little unlucky to not win that one. So we'll see how the rest of it shakes out. But USL in the meantime started another eSports tournament, and it's Rocket League, the USL E Cup, I think is what it's officially being called. What did you guys make of the fact that it is not only is this tournament, it's Rocket League, it's a kind of well-known esports game, at least played competitively for a number of years now, But what did you make of it being put on ESPN and having them kind of bypass the streaming service that we all pay for to watch USL matches in the normal season and being put on ESPN3 behind the cable subscription kind of paywall rather than the subscription that we all already have?
That was frustrating as hell. I don't get it. I mean, I'm assuming there's a reason. I don't know what it could be. I mean, it's not like ESPN Plus has all this, sports content that they're trying to put out right now. So I don't get it.
Yeah, I it just doesn't make any sense. But I mean, this is kind of, I feel like, par for the course for the league sometimes with some of their decision making or the things that they choose to give attention to or not or whatever. But as for Rocket League itself, I've never actually played it, so I don't know that I would necessarily watch anyway. Have you guys played it? I know it's like a vehicular soccer game. Is it any good or?
It's fun as hell to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not good in any like manner of being able to play in a tournament or anything like that. But I've played casually with actually with Pat Staley, who's my co-host on my Liverpool podcast. I've played with him and his brother a lot, and his brother's pretty good, but it is one of those things that I just play it because it's enjoyable, but it can be frustrating too because it's not easy, I guess. Like, it's easy to pick up, but it's hard to master. And I think we're finding out as these EUSL games play out, the normal format, Christian, I mean, playing the game before, the normal format of Rocket League is 3-on-3. So each player controlling one car, and it is, as Mikka said, vehicular soccer. You're literally trying to use your car to knock a ball into a big old net. And yeah, there's no like rules or anything like that. In terms of, the cars are crashing into each other. You're jumping the cars into the air. It's like futuristic sports, whatever. But the normal format is 3-on-3. USL decided to go 1-on-1 for these matches. I mean, do you think they kind of miss an opportunity here to not only get more people involved with each club, but to make the matches more competitive?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched a match of the USL one because I can't. But like, for those who haven't played, like for Mikka, and it'd be like playing one-on-one soccer on a soccer pitch. Like, it's not a small field, so it's this wide open space that basically, as soon as you get the ball in space, you're pretty much guaranteed a goal. So which explains, if you've been keeping track of the scores, why it ends up being like 10-1. Because if one person's better at all better than the other, then that's what's going to happen.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to check it out now that I have more time.
I feel like as weird as it is, if I was going to watch 1-on-1 of anything, you think like, okay, 1-on-1 basketball between two like very high level players could be entertaining to watch. Like, it could be entertaining to watch that matchup. But some of these games are like watching 1-on-1 basketball with a very high level player against a very average player. So like, we're not getting, prime Jordan versus prime LeBron. We're getting like prime LeBron against like a guy I went to high school with. Because we have these dudes who play Rocket League like religiously and are really good representing some of these clubs, and some of the other representatives, it's nothing against them, but they're amateur and they're not that good. Whereas if you have a team, you can kind of paper over some of the gaps in talent. But when it's one-on-one, the guy who's better at the game is just going to demolish everyone. And I think it's shown like Logan's games yesterday against a guy from San Antonio, 9-3 and 10-0. And those are like relatively not lopsided compared to some of the scores that are coming out of this thing as some of these players play. Like, I retweeted a couple today because I'm like, gosh, another nail biter in the USL Cup, because it's like, Loudon against OKC Energy, 14-1 and 10-1.
Wow, so
Gosh,
Logan got smashed then.
yeah. Unfortunately. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you're playing a really high level player, or really someone who really knows what they're doing, like, you're gonna go out and get destroyed. And so a lot of these early matchups, like St. Louis FC versus Red Bulls 2, 9-1 and 8-0.
Damn.
Charleston Battery versus Austin Bolt, 10-1 and 8-3. I haven't seen a matchup that's gone, because they play best of 3, and I haven't seen a matchup yet that's gone to a third game. Like, they've won in 2 every single time. So the idea is great. Like, I think, and it's for a good cause. It's charity, so it's like, the idea is really good. I think some of the execution is just not there, and I think they worried about the logistics of multiple players having to stream or having to provide a feed, or however they, get the broadcast, I guess, to ESPN. And then the second thing is, like, if it's a charity tournament, so the whole idea is to drive like donations, and the easiest way to do that is a built-in, like, if these games are on Twitch, then you can put the links like right there on the stream. Like, you can provide all of that stuff like native to the website, and everybody, bar none, you don't have to have any type of subscription. You can just watch it for free. So in theory, the best way to drive charity donations is not to put it like on cable, essentially, but to make it as openly available as possible, which is, no subscription, and having the ability to like have the links in the chat and all that stuff, like, where you could have a bot just like not spam, but like have those links just constantly refreshing, where if people show up and are watching and they're like, why is this happening? It's like, donate to, whatever here. And you just click the link and you're good. So I think they've missed out a little bit. I think it's they kind of put something together. They're doing their part to fill the gap. But I do think there's some aspects of it that could definitely be better to keep people interested and to achieve what you have set out to do, which is, raise money for charity. Like, that's the ultimate goal of this. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it was definitely put together by USL.
One thing I will say, if anyone's looking for more USL content, is to read The Athletic, because Jeff Ruder is still writing about USL in this break. He did just come out with a really interesting article where he surveyed all of the USL managers on a bunch of different things. And so that was an interesting read. So just another way to stay connected to the league.
Yeah. And there's a lot of USL matches from previous seasons available still on YouTube, the full match replays. So you guys can also, if you're really jonesing, you can just go back in time and pretend like it's last year and watch some old Locomotive matches. And get some Duke Keith back in your life as well in the play-by-play booth if you watch the home games. So there's definitely some stuff out there. I know a lot of people with Nintendo Switches are playing Animal Crossing right now. I mean, are either of you guys indulging in the weird world of where a capitalist raccoon controls your entire existence?
Yes, I am. It's my first time ever playing Animal Crossing because my cousins both play it and they're like, "Go get on it so that we can all play together or whatever." And like some of these like features of the game are too real. I'm like, why do I have a mortgage? But I mean, it's a fun game. It's cute. It's relaxing, and if you're looking for something kind of like just relaxing and like mindless almost, it's a fun little game.
I I saw a tweet that made me laugh a lot. That was like somebody was like, I thought, based on the amount of hate on Twitter, I thought Tom Nook was a U.S. politician, and I find out that he's the raccoon mayor of a fictional animal town.
Yo, because Tom, like, he'll have you doing all kinds of like tasks and stuff. And he'll be like, "Oh, my bad, I like messed this all up, but you're gonna fix it. Oh, and by the way, you owe me like for your mortgage. Oh, you want to expand your house? Like that's double the loan. Like it's just." I can see why people have beef with Tom Nook.
Yeah. But yeah, the video games are definitely a big part of the isolation. I know I'm playing battle royales a lot because a lot of my friends who don't normally play a lot of video games are playing now. So between Apex Legends and Call of Duty Warzone, I'm playing both of those as well. But yeah. Oh, I think we neglected to mention, but both me and Christian are streaming all of our EUSL championship games on Twitch. I'm twitch.tv/Bacchiavelli, like the Italian prince, but Bacchi at the front. And then Christian is at Fly13091 on Twitch. So you can follow there. And I know it was funny watching or seeing some of the tweets from Eighth Notchers and Locomotive fans who were tuning in to some of my streams last weekend and just commenting on the fact that they've given their kids crap about watching random stuff on YouTube, toy reviews and streamers and stuff like that, and now they're following suit because it's the one way they can kind of try to support Locomotive, I guess. And so yeah, you can follow along there. Gosh, what else we got?
I think we're going to talk about if we've watched any classic matches lately.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have, but I happened to do one today.
Oh, did you? What'd you take in?
It just came across my YouTube feed, so I didn't seek it out, but it just happened this way. I'm sorry, Mikka. I don't know how long you've followed Arsenal, but it was the 2006 Champions League final versus Barcelona. And it was insane. It was like the craziest match I've ever seen in my life. Like in the first 10 minutes or something, the Arsenal goalkeeper gets a red for grabbing Samuel Eto'o's ankle as he was passing him by. And then they had Arsenal goes up 1-0 with 10 men and a backup keeper, but they eventually end up falling 2-1, I believe was the final score. But it was just an insane match.
Yeah. We haven't been that close to glory in forever, but
Christian bringing back old wounds for Mikka. Just this
I
time
would not
is hard
have known
enough.
a match to go out and look for. I mean, we discuss my soccer ignorance regularly, so I can tell you I didn't do that just to hurt you, Mikka. It really just came up on the YouTube feed.
It was an insane match. I mean, that's when we had. It was a weird squad because like there were some of the like invincibles and some of the young players, and yeah, I don't know, it sucks.
Mikka, are there any classic matches you either have watched, or like if you were to sit down and take in a classic match, is there one that stands out as, okay, that's the one I'm sitting down and watching because it was crazy or amazing or whatever?
I'm struggling right now to think of the year. I think it might have been the 2016 Clásico at the Santiago Bernabéu, where Barcelona thrashed Real Madrid, and I think it was the match where Leo Messi took off his shirt and held it up to the crowd. And a lot of pictures from that match like appeared to like show the shirt like floating, and they're like, "Wow, the guy really is a god."
Yeah.
That's a match that always like sticks out to me. But there's Clásicos are always fun to rewatch because they're insane. They're always insane. Actually, the very last Clásico, which was March 1st, I believe it was actually like a weird, like not great game, like in terms of like football, like quality, but because there's so many good players on the pitch and it's such an occasion, it's just I always like to watch those games and to rewatch them from time to time. But that I think it was the 2016 one, if I'm not mistaken, was a really one that sticks out in my mind recently. But yeah, no, yeah, Clásicos. I love that fixture. Like it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there's so many great matches that take place just across the world each year, and it's so tough to nail down like one to watch. Because I mean, as a Liverpool fan, obviously, last year's Champions League final, the 05 final, is a classic because Liverpool had no business beating that AC Milan team and did so in the most dramatic fashion. They absolutely should have been dead and buried in that game. So against probably one of the best teams ever assembled in world football, that was just an insane Milan team. So I mean, if you can find the any footage of that AC Milan team under Ancelotti, it's pretty stunning. Aside from the Liverpool aspect, they were just ridiculous. Crespo and Shevchenko and Kaká, like it was just a whole starting 11 of potential Ballon d'Or winners, like absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. I think I mean there's a couple finals that are definitely worth rewatching. Man, I don't know. The one that's coming to my mind, and Mikka, this is like the opposite for you maybe, but the 4-4 between Liverpool and Arsenal at Anfield in 2008 or 2009 that actually denied Liverpool the league title late in the season, where Andre Arshavin scored 4 goals for Arsenal at Anfield.
Oh yeah, and he had the
Yeah.
iconic celebration.
Just the most bonkers game I've ever seen. It was obviously not the result I was looking for, but like in terms of matches that you just remember forever because it was so astonishing. That is one that sticks out to me because I remember watching it and my jaw was practically on the floor for the entire thing because it was just like how is this happening? But also like Liverpool were answering whenever he would score, so it was just one of those back and forth matches that's just absolute chaos. And the moment when Arshavin scores the fourth is admittedly cool. There's so many good ones, but in this time, we're also ordering a lot of food. I don't know about you guys, but I'm doing a lot of contactless delivery. Favor is kind of the app I've been going with recently. I don't know if you guys prefer a specific app over another.
I use Uber Eats a lot just because I feel like it has the most like choice in terms
Sure.
of the restaurants that are on there. But I mean,
Yeah.
I have all of those apps and I just like cycle through them. I've got Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, Favor, GoPuff, Yelp, like all of that. So it's a good time to be like supporting local businesses, because they can't have people in the restaurant, but a lot of them are still doing like the takeout and delivery and stuff like that. So
Christian, go-to app?
So I don't really have one. Honestly, my wife and I have been doing pretty good. So we've actually only ordered out twice in this whole situation, but we are guilty. They have not been from technically local restaurants. Both times are from Chili's, actually, because we're cultured as fuck. Um, and so we just order right from the Chili's website. So I don't have a particular app. So that's my take on the whole to-go situation. But if you guys have some good restaurant, well, I guess your restaurant recommendations are going to be on the other side of town, so it might be kind of a moot point.
There might be east side locations. I don't know. But
Okay.
Mika, what's your what are your like El Paso like stalwarts that you go to on the delivery services?
oh my goodness. I don't know if they're like stalwarts, but they are. I am trying to order local as much as possible. Um, well, okay, so one that I do a lot, especially now that I'm working from home and I'm trying to like not be so unhealthy because now they're saying people are going to get what used to be called the freshman 15 is now going to be called the quarantine 15. So I'm trying to order like healthy when I can. So there's this food truck near me that's called Juice from the Truck, and it's all like healthy fruit juices, and they do have like a couple sandwiches that are healthy. So I like that option a lot because I don't feel so bad when I order from them. But so they're a good one, and I know they're on Uber Eats because I use the contactless delivery through them. Um, another West Side option is Aurelia's Bottle Shop and Brew House. I love Aurelia's. I love going there. It really sucks that we can't go anywhere right now, but they are doing takeout and pickup, and their food is incredible. The pizza's good. The avocado fries, like I don't think I've had anything bad there. And they've got a big selection of beer too. And then I think I just read today that they're like partnering with a distiller locally to make like hand sanitizer, which is dope. So yeah, guys,
Yeah.
like just check those out if you're on the west side, or even if you're not, just download these apps. And a lot of these apps are waiving like delivery fees for local businesses, and these businesses could really use our help because I mean the franchises are probably going to be just fine, but it's these mom and pop places that need the revenue right now. So, but yeah, those are kind of the two that I have been going to lately.
That's I've been Aurelia's is amazing, and like you said, it is a bummer that we can't physically go to it right now, but they are awesome, and supporting them in any way is like just you have to try to, when you're gonna like order or whatever, if there's a place by you that you like going, just try to patronize them. But I mean, it's right now I would say my one go-to, and it's like it's Mesa Street. Well, it's near Mesa Street Grill, I guess, but I am a total sucker for Mediterranean food and like Arab food. So Noor Mediterranean Cafe is on Favor. I don't know if they're on Uber Eats. I think they are. But I always am. I'm a complete sucker for shawarma, and so like whether you want to go meatless or not, like doesn't matter. You can go Mediterranean, and it's always a good option. And then Kedama ramen. I've been ordering from there quite a bit. The tonkatsu ramen is just like so good. So definitely, I would say those are my two kind of go-tos, especially when I'm going outside. Me and my wife have gotten the pizza joint for sure. Which
So
get a
good.
20, if you get a 20-inch from the pizza joint, then you can, either crush it if you want, or save a few pieces. You got actually multiple meals, which during this time, nice to, knock out a couple meals without with one stone, I guess. So
Wait a minute though, what toppings?
Oh, I mean, we this last time we went with kind of a classic margarita, tomato, basil, and mozzarella, like just kind of classic. But I mean, almost any of their like pre-built pies are good. We'll normally go, like, if we're building our own though, we normally go with like kind of a sausage and peppers vibe, like Italian sausage and green peppers and
That's
that
very
sort of thing.
Chicago of you.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like a nice middle ground between Chicago and New York, I feel. So
Right.
But yeah, so that those are the ones that I'd say we've gone to. We have been trying primarily, as you guys have said, to kind of eat at home and be good about trying to be as healthy as possible, but at the same it's not, sometimes I would feel bad about myself when I ordered, because I'd be like, it's extra money and I'm just being lazy. I could go get it, or I could I could just make something or whatever. But right now, like Mikka was saying, like it is, if you can patronize a local business, like you can feel good about ordering food. Like not, every meal, but when you do it, you can feel at least good about the fact that, hey, like they need it, they need the money. So if I'm spending it, like I'm glad it's going to them. So that's, it's one of the upsides, I guess, of being quarantined, is you don't have to feel bad about ordering food. But yeah, that I guess that about brings us to the end of what is a weird episode, because we don't have locomotive stuff to talk about. It's always a pleasure sitting down with you guys and just talking about random stuff. So I hope everybody listening has enjoyed as well, because we're trying to still provide content during these times, despite the fact that it is like the golden age of content and there's so much out there. So we appreciate you spending a little time and listening to us. We're on all the major podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and you can find us on all the big social media platforms as well: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And me and Christian will be playing FIFA on Twitch as well. So check that out. Tune in. It's a lot of fun. There's banter back and forth, and just a little something you can interact. So it's a little more interactive than your average spectator sport. So you guys can enjoy that. But until next time, everybody stay home, stay safe, and stay loco.